This is Shweta Batra here. I am an educator, a psychologist, and a teacher trainer. I have been with this education field for the past 17 years. And right now, I have last served as a principal, and currently, I'm a consultant and advisor in the field of education as well as in counseling. That when we say parenting, we don't say anything else other than parenting. But as soon as a child is born, it brings so many relations into being, right? Somebody becomes a grandmother, somebody becomes a grandfather, somebody is becoming an uncle, aunt. In spite or despite of all these relations being born with the child, we always look for fine and a good hand of parenting, because it's ultimately the role of the parents which play a crucial element in the life of a child, right? So here in this case, we say it is difficult is because we are not probably mentally prepared. We may physically prepare ourselves by doing all that is required so that we have a happy pregnancy and things like that. But mental preparedness, that pledge to be conscious parent, is what is required to make this experience a very joyful one, because ultimately it's this very child who is going to lead a life. A, you have to make sure he leads the best. B, he's the best version of himself when he's out there in the society. So this job of yours is a very huge responsibility. At the same time, we have to make sure that it's a joyful experience. So yes, when we talk about a toddler, there are many aspects that we have to consider, because when we talk of a child, we have him in our family. When he steps out, he in the family, when we talk, we could have a nuclear family, we could have a joint family, where we have various different, relationships. And every person has his or her say when it comes to bringing a child or dealing with the child. Where it is in an ideal situation, it is best where the family members who are per se staying in that particular house come on common grounds, so that the parenting process for the parents become very easy. They need to establish certain fundamental principles beyond which one shall not go, and this shall stand true for all, may it be the 70-year-old grandparent or it be the 7-year-old sibling. Also, when we talk about sibling, we talk about the gender. When we have a child as a boy child or as a girl child, the way of parenting needs to be established in a common manner, where there are no such biases. Or it's often said that aap bade ho, you are a grown up one, you're the elder one. Maybe the child is just 2 or 3 years old, but he is expected to assume responsibility because he is just born 2 years before the next sibling. So this particularly is somewhere not a right practice, or is a practice that should be absolutely avoided. Yes, there should be a spirit of team. This important aspects where there are certain principles which these are the ways how we are going to bring up the child, and under no circumstances are we going to change our principles. It is where parenting happens very easily, and you know much and more about your child, what our child is seeing, what he is being exposed to, what he is visualizing, what is he conceptualizing. All those things are very different the moment he steps out from the society or your complex where you're staying. Again, when you move further, you have your child going to probably school. Again, when you school, you're talking about he's dealing with somebody who's of his age, he's dealing with someone who's a teacher, he's dealing with the staff of the school, and he's traveling by bus, he's traveling, or she's traveling by some vehicle to reach the school. And at every point of time, there is a different environment. So it has to be, you cannot monitor per se the child's environment entirely, but you ought to have a know-how of everything that's happening. Kindergarten stage, mostly they have one teacher, but when we are talking about the grades upper than that, in the elementary school level, we have subject teachers coming in. The child has a very different world, which is established by himself for 30-40 minutes, and all of a sudden the circumstances change, the environment is changing. So the child is put through a lot of change, which he may not be willing to or ready to or is able to assimilate. This is the best time that you become friends, because it is a bond that has to be built right from the beginning. Toddler may have, say, 40, 50 friends, acquaintances per se, where he has his classmates or he has his friends in the society. But his friend list may, the parents' name should come on the top. And why on the top, I mean to say, is that all these 40, 50 acquaintances with him, whoever are there, whatever encounters he has had or she has had with them, should be shared with this first number friend, that is the parent. So these aspects, what we are talking about, these are all, indulgences which are extremely essential for the upbringing of a child. We are talking of various different types of schooling, but we cannot defy the fact that we are a social being and we have to today or tomorrow step out and live a life. So these are the, environments that we give to our child, but keeping a close contact with your child allows you to understand what he's being exposed to, and after all that, how is he dealing with it, how is he looking at it, and it's here where the value system can be built or developed. See, again, when we talk of parenting plan per se, most of the time, we are so worried that our child is not writing from what the teacher has given in the class, or he is not reading. So basically our, 70 to 80% of our energies are put into academics. I am not saying that this is right or wrong, but when we are saying that I am a human being and we are a social being, it's extremely, extremely important to first develop the skills of a person, and academics follows by itself. If I develop the language skills of my child, automatically academics becomes easy. So when I talk about academics, I would want to give it, this is how I look at it. And especially at the age of a toddler, we have to make sure that the child learns to learn. We don't need to teach the child. He only has to learn. Once he picks it up, after that, life is a cakewalk for him. And for being a good learner, what you need is that urge to gain knowledge, to urge to acquire knowledge. It shouldn't be like, school or academics is a burdensome thing. No, it should be something which a child should probably look forward to being indulging into. So having that kind of an aspect in the child is extremely important, rather than making sure that he writes every single page that is taught in the school, or every single rhyme that is taught in the school he speaks. As a kindergarten child, it's extremely important that you contain yourself to language development, and primarily I would say English, because most of the children are learning in English medium school, and all the subjects that we are learning is in English. So that's the reason I'm saying is that obviously first 2-3 years go into development of the mother tongue, right? After that, we have to learn some language which is open, which opens our doors to the books, which is the best thing that we have to introduce our child to. So for that, the language development, I am not saying English as a subject, I'm saying English as a language, and maths. So where, you make sure that every day your child is doing a bit of exercise of, say, English grammar and math. This is something which you can keep it as a routine. So very important that when we say that, when we are grown up, what we want, that's what exactly today, why I would struggle if I do not know how to solve my problems. I do not know how to manage time. I do not know how to collaborate. I do not know how to cooperate. And there is where we are facing a lot of problems in our lives. So what happens is, looking at what the end result we want from our child is what we start building in our very primitive stage. So start giving them, exposing them to, or supplying them with platforms where they are able to gain those skills. For instance, go to the probably a supermarket, and you could buy a bread and you could buy a chocolate and make fun, and bring the child to the counter, make him pay the money, see that he gets his change back, let him gain an understanding. Similarly, there are small problems that come up at home. You must try to indulge your child into, in a democratic way. Try to bring your child and try to make him see that he can give his opinion on the subject matter. There is a certain level of confidence that is built up in a child, and there is a sense of belonging that he builds in. So tomorrow, whenever he has to make decisions, this is how we are trying to teach a child to build decision making ability. So when we say that we want to develop our child, it's extremely important that we develop these thinking skills, problem solving skills, and decision making skills. How can that happen? When you create a small environment in your house, we as parents cannot give anything to our child unless and until we have it in ourselves. It is for sure. You cannot fake such things. So it's extremely important that when you know that you are a parent or you are becoming a parent, have this environment where children sit together with the family, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, do some breathing exercises, close their eyes and introspect. These all are the things where these are like, capacity building blocks. So once you have acquired this in your life as a practice, it goes on with you for a lifetime. And these help you acquire a lot of other things when you are growing and achieving other challenges or you're facing other challenges. So yes, physical health, you need to be having a lot of healthy stuff that you eat around at home. Also make sure that you have a yoga time, family yoga time. Every activity should be so beautifully put up that it is like the child should feel eager to come forward and do it. So this is the physical aspect, and the social and emotional aspect is you have to be self in line with your own self to be in line with others. So when we are in line with our own self, in alignment with our own self, we are, probably positive and more sensitive, empathetic, more social towards the other beings. We learn to teach our child to live in harmony. It at least a cordial relationship, so that today when they are in a small family or your extended family or your close family friend knows how to take care of the relationships that are there around him. So this is a small way how we can actually uh, develop our child socially, emotionally, academically, physically, and mentally. So this is a plan of action. I mean, it all differs from person to person. It will differ from sibling to sibling. And I would always say that as a parent, come what may, love your child unconditionally. It should be no conditions attached. I'm not saying that you love your child blindly. If there is a time where you need to take a stern step or, show that displeasure of his actions or her actions, definitely you should. But the love should be unconditional. This is something which is the top or like the title of your plan towards bringing up your child. Thank you so much.